So we just turned onto Williamsburg Road, heading up to 72. It's 7:30, 7:45, something like that.
59 degrees.
It's 59 degrees and
raining, in case no one knows.
Yeah, a little bit of rain.
Just a little water.
It's Iceman 2022. I'm here with Scott and Tristan. Scott, I feel like we started the season with a drive similar to this, and we're ending the season like this. Remember, we were in the car. We were worried about polar roll.
Yeah, we weren't very excited about the weather as we were driving to the start, wondering if we were crazy. And so we've got a similar eerie feeling again. Polar roll, on the other hand, turned out to be an amazing track that day. I have a feeling that this is not going to have the same outcome, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see is a great... I think there are a lot of questions, a lot of question marks, and I think that's a good way to prelude this race. One of my big questions is how my bike will fare, and I think everyone's kind of wondering that. Tristan, do you got a giant question or questioning your decisions?
Yeah, I was questioning, should I have brought the fat bike versus Bo and all of Bo's new shiny bits that are going to be destroyed today. So.
Yeah, you literally just rebuilt the drivetrain on that bike, so good luck there.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
I also have new parts and pieces. Probably less than 200 miles on the drivetrain, so chain, cassette, brakes, pads, so...
I appreciated at the expo everyone's optimism of like, no, it won't be muddy. It's going to tamp down all the sand. It's going to be great. But I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about this day.
There's Williamsburg.
There's Williamsburg there. It's going to be fun regardless.
Yeah, it's a sandy soil, so the rain will clear. It's kind of like
a dry
it's
heat.
A dry heat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a sandy soil, so it's going to clear. Sandy soil that's been logged.
This is why we do it. This is what Iceman's for. Is crappy conditions and having a good time. So,
but they still have the finish line party, correct?
No, that's been canceled.
The gust winds the gale force winds are coming this afternoon. So hopefully the beer tents don't blow away.
So yeah, a lot of questions. How will our bike fare? How muddy will we be? Will there be beer tents at the end? Stay tuned for all of this. Coming up next. Whatever.
Yeah, that is a big question mark. You've got years of experience on the bike.
Oh, just keep talking.
No. What are we? Oh, we're just jumping right into this. Professional, Trevor. I didn't know. Yeah, so I think you've got years of experience, though, right?
Yeah.
So what's the equation you're trying to figure out?
If age and weight gives you bonus time.
So we all started the same wave.
Right.
And
I'm the heaviest.
I don't like where this is going.
I'm the oldest, and I was almost the slowest.
You weren't the slowest, though, because I brought up the rear of the group. I quickly realized that today wasn't going to go as planned, and now I'm having a beer, so...
Yeah, so we are actually... We're standing at the finish. It's not raining, and it didn't rain as we were riding. We're drinking beer, which is fantastic.
The beer tent was there. Still there.
Tristan has a lot of shit in his mustache. He's trying to get
beer.
it up. It's beer in his mustache, which is good.
Saving it for later.
So, gentlemen, we kind of thought it was going to be crappy. What do we think?
Circle back around, just like we thought when Polar Roll was going to be terrible, and it wasn't. Iceman came through. The course was great. It was good. Sand was packed down, a couple puddles, not a lot of mud, so super excited.
We got Brad here. Brad, going into today, this morning, what did you think? What was your worry? And then now coming out of it, how you feeling?
Yeah. Worry was definitely the mud, which proved to be not too bad. Little big puddles out there, but nothing too bad. Coming out of it, that last little bump out, that new trail, that was just cruel. That was just cruel. Coming up Icebreaker, then having to go do that, it was just mean. But great race. Great race overall.
All in all, I'm kind of blown away at how the day went. I thought it was going to be a disaster.
Oh yeah. Weather was perfect. It turned out to be real.
No rain.
All right.
All right.
It's a sandy rain. A sandy rain.
Like a dry heat, a sandy rain. Yeah. All right.
Get any Paps hand
Sweet
ups or
jersey.
no?
Yeah, I like your jersey.
No, not a single hand up out there. I was looking for the shots. I was looking for the beers.
I got a shot.
You got a shot out there?
Oh, yeah. That's in the equation. Shot.
You stopped for a shot.
I stopped for
That
a
is
shot.
also part of the equation. We're gonna have to sit down and do the
That
math.
Yeah.
should save me.
We're going to do the math and we'll circle back. From KOM Cycling and Michigan Midpack Media, welcome to the Dirty Chain Podcast, the podcast that covers the cycling scene from the viewpoint of the Michigan Midpack. I am your host, Trevor. And folks, Iceman 2022, the point-to-point end-of-season mountain bike party that takes place outside of Traverse City, Michigan. Kalkaska finishes in Traverse City. Turned out to be fantastic. As you heard, Tristan and Scott and I we were a bit worried. And I'm sure if you participated or if you tuned in from afar, you understood why. There was a lot of rain. There was a lot of weather in the forecast, but the day did not disappoint, as you will hear as Scott and Tristan and I sit down and talk through all the race details and talk a little bit about the post-race Timber Ridge party details as well. Congrats to all who participated, who all persevered and decided to start the race. I'm sure you were not disappointed. And, of course, a huge congratulations to the winners. Alexis Skarda won the women's race, and Alexi Vermeulen once again wins Iceman for the second time. So excited for a local Michigander to bring home the ice trophy. A couple things. We reference a spreadsheet that comes out every year after Iceman about how many people who started in waves, how many people you passed. You can look up your number, your name. Super interesting, super informative, and just fun. And I don't really know these guys, but looks like Steven Spry and Ben Snyder put this together. And check it out and look up your pass ratio if you participated and if you haven't done so yet. It's a lot of fun. And while I'm giving out plugs, I might as well plug Rob Mendering Photography. If you have not looked through the amazing photos that he took of the day, I recommend you do so. After I finish recording this, I will be going back to his website and purchasing the third photo, probably to post up on Instagram. So check those out if you haven't done so far. And finally, before we get to the conversation, Iceman is not just about a single day, it's about an entire weekend. And I had a blast hanging out at the KOM Cycling Expo booth all day Friday. And it was so cool to see so many of you come up, talk about the podcast, talk about the KOM Cycling products, sell some of those products to all of you. And it was just part of the lead up of the fun of the whole weekend. And this is the third time that KOM has been there, the second time that I've been able to be a part of the KOM booth. And we will definitely be there next year. So thank you to all who stopped by. And we'll see you all next year. So let's get into it. Iceman, that we thought would be Rain Man, that turned out to be a nice man. Iceman 2022. So I'm wondering right now, did we crunch the numbers? Did we figure this all out?
I feel like we did.
Yeah.
Right.
After seeing the spreadsheet, we realized there really wasn't too many numbers that needed to be crunched.
Yeah, we.
Someone crunched the numbers for us.
Yeah, for us, and
We're satisfied with putting the numbers to bed.
So what exactly? We were just listening to that last bit when we were talking post race. What were you guys talking about? Crunching the numbers. So we all started the same wave. Like who beat who? Like
a little bit of a handicap, determining if age makes a difference, weight makes a difference. If you take a shot on a course,
whether you drink
makes a
alcohol
difference.
during the ride. Yeah, it was just fun fodder.
So, listening back to our pre-race conversation and our post-race conversation, any initial thoughts on what we were thinking, how wrong we were? Like we are. It's Tuesday after Iceman. My voice is still crap. Too much yelling on Wood Chip Hill, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about are we recovered mostly? I think I'm not hungover anymore. That's a plus. But yeah, have we processed things through? Are we ready to kind of talk about this a little bit?
Well, I know for sure I am no longer going to predict the course conditions of any race.
Yeah, no kidding.
I am 0 for 2, and you got to go up to the start line. You have to show up and see what it's about. I think there was a lot of people that did not start that race based off of what they thought weather was going to be like, and that's a shame because it was a great day.
I think that's a huge takeaway. I mean, obviously, after the race we were talking, we thought conditions were great. If you rode, you know that, there was a little bit of mud, but it actually was the sand tamped down. It was you said a sandy rain.
Yeah.
A sandy what? No.
A sandy rain, yeah. The sandy
rain.
soil really clears the rain very well up there. So.
Well, and that proved to be true.
Very
Proved to be
true.
true. And I thought people were just like overly optimistic about the whole thing, but it was true and it was fast. I really think that people chose not to ride, and I think that was unfortunate. And honestly, if I'm honest, driving in and then right before we started, like right before wave 1, it started pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is going to be a disaster.
Right, and driving in, so not only when we went to Rancho Road to leave vehicles, the road going into that parking lot was a mess.
Destroyed.
And then going to the airport in the parking situation there, the road driving in as well was quite sloppy. So, like, there was still at that point, and then again, the rain starts, like you said, and we're like, oh, man, we're going to be in for it. But rain stopped.
Yeah.
We had 0 rain through our entire race time.
I think that was basically the same for all the waves.
Pros got a little bit of rain at the very end.
Correct. Yeah, because it was raining when we were standing on wood chip cheering everyone up. But all the other waves, even though it was raining wave 1, it stopped by, I feel like, wave 2. And it definitely wasn't raining on wave 4 when the 3 of us took off.
Correct.
I mean, actually, I think the worst part of the course was the gravel roads.
Oh, yeah.
They were like peanut butter a little bit.
Usually the section where I'm recovering, getting down in the drops, and just cruising away from people. And it was I was just sucked into the mud and just hammering there.
As non-mountain bikers, Tristan and I kind of look forward to the gravel, but as soon as you got into those gravel roads, it just watt sucking.
Oh, it was peanut butter on those. Those did not clean the rain as well as the seasonal roads or the single track.
But luckily,
it was minimal.
It was very minimal. Yeah.
Right, and if you take the conditions of the sandy areas, which there's a lot more of, I'll take the trade-off. I'll take some peanut butter.
100%,
I'll take some peanut butter rides for a little bit. Yeah.
Because there was a lot. There could have been a ton of sand, and
even like the seasonal sandy sections where you're kind of going uphill a little bit. It felt easier in those sections than it did on those flat gravel roads, really, because those were just sucking watts as you were trying to get through the peanut butter. So,
You know what I was
it was
surprised
nice.
about was the single track and how well
I
that
thought
it
it was
held
gonna
up.
be greasy.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that
it
actually
turned out to
was
be
really.
tacky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually really good. It wasn't rutting.
No.
There was no puddles really standing at all in any of the single track. It was just black dirt. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, I was surprised because I'm always like overly cautious on all single track, and I found myself getting a little frustrated with people that were taking it too slow, because I kind of felt like, oh, we have plenty of traction. It's gripping where we want it to. Like, why are we braking in every single corner? But yeah, it was the single track was amazing.
Must
And
have been nice to have that problem. I did not experience anybody slowing me down to help my heart rate out.
Tristan, you again. Okay, so one thing you talked about on the ride in, you mentioned that you possibly should have ridden your fat bike. And we were saying that this may have been perfect fat bike conditions, not you ride a Bo Jackson, Bear Claw Bo Jackson. What size tires? It's 29er, right?
29er, yeah, 2.25 Vittoria Mezcal. So
I mean, it's
it was
a
a
mountain bike tire,
yeah.
but it's full rigid,
Fully
drop
rigid,
bar.
drop bar. Yeah, no, definitely the right bike choice at the end of the day. The ride quality was great. Couple of roots here and there, exposed rocks that kind of bounce me around a little bit, but for the most part, when you're riding rigid, you're looking for that. So that's pretty well prepared for that.
So you're actually on the other side of it. You're glad you didn't ride your fat bike.
Oh yeah,
There were
absolutely.
a ton of fat bikes. There were a ton of fat bikes that, like, there must have been a ton in like wave 1, 2, and 3 too, because I saw quite a few as I was riding through. But yeah, I mean,
I was surprised by that. Yeah.
and maybe it was the exact. Maybe people brought up two bikes, or maybe people saw the weather forecast and just decided to ride fat bike. But I would think the way that it was that those big old tires may have slowed people down a little bit. It wasn't as sloppy as obviously. So
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it depends on the pressure you choose. Also, like if you ran a fat bike with a little bit higher pressure, knowing that the course would turn out the way it did, you're probably at not much more of a disadvantage. I was running a pretty aggressive mountain bike tire at 2.6 front and rear.
This is my next question about your bike, Scott. Like, kind of on the other side, you had a pretty aggressive mountain bike.
Yeah, full suspension, 29er with 2.6 front and rear recons, which is my everyday mountain bike. And I could have had a choice between my fat bike, full rigid, and also a full rigid 29er, which I was thinking about as well. So, yes, with the peanut butter gravel we talked about, the course being a little tacky, I don't know that was probably the best bike. I mean, I rode it locked out the whole time. Like, I mean, I didn't even really use the suspension. I didn't really need it. Yeah, I mean, maybe I would have chosen a different bike, but
what what about your tires? So I had Recon Races on. You had Recon Traditional. Was that like what you were riding for Margie, or did you have?
yeah, same. It was the same setup for Margie.
So like,
Iceman Margie, same thing.
Pretty technical, just the same, right?
yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, the bike is probably, I mean, my bike's a like 120 full suspension mountain bike, but I ran Recon Races and I thought they rolled a little better. And what's your front chainring? Like 32?
Yeah,
or
it's a
something?
32 on that one.
Yeah, so like I think I have like a 34 or 36, and it's such a fast riding course that 32. I mean, it just depends on how fast you want to go, but 32, I feel like, especially with some of those downhills, you can spin out pretty easily.
It was more of the motor and not the bike. I mean, I just, I knew pretty early. I had not been training for cross-country style races, sprint type races. Everything before that was my goal was to Margie 100 and training for that and to finish that. So everything seemed to be more of an endurance style ride.
Yeah.
And plus I was still recovering from that hamstring injury. So all my rides leading up to everything was kind of lower power and just kind of endurance riding. So that showed in my results for Iceman. I still had a blast, but definitely going out that hard, that fast, took its toll on me pretty early.
I thought through that a little bit as I was reflecting about the weekend and the three of us, because all three of us are more, well, I don't know, Scott, I guess I will call you an endurance rider because of what you have just accomplished finishing Margie Gesick. But yeah, when you look at that, Margie Gesick in the last 6 weeks? When was Margie? 2 months ago?
It was middle of September.
Middle of September. And then Tristan with the Long Voyage Gravel Worlds. And I think one of my last races was Moran 166, 166 miles. We had no business being up on the I don't know. It's a different type of race for us. And I actually thought that last year, and I thought that was pretty difficult. I remember being blown away by the start, and I mean, we were way back in the wave 20s or something. I don't know where were you last year?
You
Oh, Scott, you did
sidelined.
Yeah, sidelined because of injury. And Tristan, you were in wave
20, 31?
yeah,
maybe?
something like that.
31?
And then we're all in wave 4 this year. And I was really concerned about the start and how fast everything was. But I will say that the difference that I tried to do this year was to make an effort to do some of these shorter races. So peak to peak was something I really wanted to do. And that I felt like that was fast and was like high intensity. And then I did a couple Zwift races because I feel like that was like the right kind of intensity for Iceman. So I remember that from last year, and I was thinking, maybe I need to like practice the quick intensity.
I guess we look at the results. Scott and I focused fully on endurance, did not get into prep work for short intensity. And we ended up where we ended up. And obviously you're, at this point in time, significantly stronger at this point, but you did prep specifically for it, and your results, sort of show.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it definitely helped, and I will probably keep that up. I mean, I think the endurance is important, and especially on that second half of Iceman, it's hard to keep that intensity going the whole time, but also, like go do peak to peak, go ride Lord of the Springs. Like that was a great like warm up race too. Do a few of those shorter races, those high intensity races before Iceman, or don't. Like who cares?
Right.
And you just go and do it. Like
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, and it's not like our times were terrible. I mean, it's still a good day. I mean, it's we in our wave. We still finished based in our wave time when they show like the charts, like the slant of the charts. It's not like we were out of our league being up in wave 4. And my goal initially was 2 hours. Maybe I didn't feel like it was going to be a sub, but 2 hours. Then I thought with weather, I said, well, 2:15. And of course, weather really wasn't necessarily the factor. So, but I split the difference at 2:09, and that's for me. Actually, there's times I thought I felt stronger, but I really, it's still probably one of my top 4 times out of all the Icemans I've done.
When was your last Iceman? Because you've been like plagued with
18, I think.
Okay, yeah. Because it seems like at the end of the season, you're kind of struck with injury that not necessarily bike related, but
there's
sometimes bike related.
Yeah, 19 was bike related.
Okay.
Of course, no one raced in 2020, and then 21 was non-bike related. That was the water ski incident that we've all talked about.
Which you have no business. Who has no? Okay. Anyways,
but that's also not only training for endurance, but also that injury recovery took a while to get back to being able to lay down power. on the bike. Like I could just do, high cadence kind of stuff, spin stuff, which was also fairly new to me. I was always kind of a power guy. So between the combination of that and prepping for endurance type stuff, I cannot tell you. I don't even remember the last short race I'd done, like an actual competitive race. Right. I'm trying to think back.
What in terms of waves, do you remember where you were in 2018?
8 or 9.
Okay, so you were up there a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I might have been. I don't know what that. I'll have to look it up. That might have been my sub 2. I might have been like 153 or something like that.
Okay, and Tristan, last year, we kind of talked about you were like 20 something or 30.
Yeah, I feel
that
like
was your first year.
Yeah, I feel like I was 31 last year, and it was earn your stripes, and I feel really bad about jumping in where I did this year because I have friends that have been doing it for years, and they earn their way up to wave 4 and 2, and they did it the hard way.
Yeah, but you put down a great time last year. Right? You were like 158.
158. Correctly stated at 158 when I.
So you were perfect. You're right where you needed to be.
Yeah.
I was in that realm. Like it wasn't like an imposter syndrome or anything like that. Like I wasn't way out of place. It's just I feel like I didn't earn it through years of suffering.
Yeah.
Like
well, this was only my third, so I don't know. You put down a good time, you get put up there. What did you have any takeaways with what the difference was between? Because last year I was in wave, I don't know what it was, 27, 24, something like that. Mm-hmm. Did you, was there an expectation of wave 4 versus what you experienced?
I feel like it, half of the wave, right off the get-go was hammer, and the other half of the wave was chill, and I unfortunately had to fall back into that chill section due to having a cold and whatnot, and still not fully being able to breathe. So it didn't prep work didn't work out how I wanted, and day of I was able to ride my bike for 2 hours, but not exactly how I wanted to. But overall, I figured it was going to be full gas for me the entire time versus last year where I was able to put down a really good time. It was based on getting stuck behind people in the single track where I'm not going to be the fastest anyway, and I was able to correct my heart rate at those points. Versus this year, there was no breaks. I did not get a break. I think I averaged 94% of my peak heart rate for 2 hours straight. So my body put down as much as it possibly could have. It's just
you didn't feel like you had any breaks in the single track this year?
No, because I kept passing. I would pass people on the flats with the drop bar bike. I was able to get around them on the flats and in the roads leading up to single track. And then I didn't want to be the asshole on drop bars slowing everybody down on the single track, because then nobody was in front of me. So no, I had fear of slowing people down, keeping me going.
I was a little surprised at there was a little more traffic in wave 4 than I anticipated. I knew there'd be a lot of people because there's a couple hundred people before us and whatever, but I thought that single track would be faster, and
you got to earn your way up to wave number 1 or 2, so you don't have that shit.
Still, ultimately, there's a lot of fast guys in that race, but they're not necessarily mountain bike guys. They're either gravel background, even road ride guys that come in there and they can be super fast on the 2 track and on the road, but they get into the single track and it's just not their forte. And so they definitely, even though they're super strong riders, they're just not technically sound, and they take their time in the single track. And it doesn't take long because most of that single track is non-passable. 90% of the single track there is just kind of, it seems like there's really nowhere to go.
Oh, especially
at the end.
You're looking off to your right and it's down a hill. and then you do a switchback, and all of a sudden it's off to your left, and it's down a hill. There's no getting around on the single track, so you just have to make sure you're ready to go as soon as you come out of it.
So let's talk about the end, because there are a few things that everyone was kind of all worked up about before the race. Weather, of course, we've talked about, but one of the other things was this added single track for the last mile, and I even saw a video like right before of it was Paige Onweller, and she was cutting her bars down because of how narrow.
I saw that video, but I didn't realize I didn't watch it with audio, so it was just like, Paige is getting her bike tuned up to fit properly. It didn't make sense to me, but if I would have had audio, you're saying it would have been clear the reason why. I also scrolled a little quick too.
I believe so. I think that.
No offense, Paige.
I think the whole thing was like the single track is pretty narrow, and then I was like, man, my bars are really wide. I'm kind of worried about this. But what did you guys think about the final single track section after all the Scott, are you done on your phone, man? Like, what are you trying to find?
He's crunching numbers over there.
I was trying to get you a legitimate time from
He's crunching
2
numbers.
years ago.
Okay, all right.
I apparently
I'll
ride
take
my
this
bike
one.
a lot, and there's a lot of crap on here.
I'll take this one first. I feel like I'm glad I made the move when I did for the camera up that last hill.
Wood chip, yeah.
Yeah, up wood chip. I cleared through three guys that had been sitting in front of me. We had been kind of yo-yoing, and I just decided to give it a go for Rob, and made it around them. And I'm glad I did, because there was no more maneuvering whatsoever in that race. And I felt like my wide gravel bars were like barely clearing through those single. And I know if I was to go stand there and look at the difference between the one tree, my bars, and the next tree, it would have been plentiful. But for somebody that doesn't handle bikes very well, it was tight.
And I love the single track. The more the merrier. I mean, I think it's great. The only thing it is frustrating, especially that very last mile we talked about, the new stuff, super tight, not a lot of room to go
Yeah,
anywhere. I
not
feel
really
like once you're in
flowy
there,
either.
like
It
once you're
wasn't
in
flowy.
it, and so going back to that, I said the conditions of it were really good, but I mean, it really wasn't a fast single track section. So I mean, you could only go so fast anyway. So maybe trying to take that at a higher speed would have been a little bit different with conditions. Maybe it would have felt a little slippery or a little slick, but it seemed good. But again, it wasn't very fast, and I was often on somebody's tail and just waiting and just kind of going. That's actually, I came to a complete stop.
Oh yeah.
In that last section of single track, somebody had crashed right in front. There was like 4 bikes ahead, and so we stopped and couldn't you couldn't even get around. You had to basically wait for them to pick up their pieces, get back on their bike, and go. There was really nowhere to go.
Oh yeah. Speaking of crashing, a little shout out to Connor Grant, who I passed on the ground on that.
So you figured out a way.
Yeah, yeah, I did pass someone on that single track. They just had a crash in front of me.
And they had to crash far enough off the trail?
Yeah, far enough off the trail.
I thought you went over the top of them. I thought you
I just rode right over.
Yeah.
Yeah, rolled right over.
Hey, you got by.
Yeah, I think my only saving grace in that whole thing was I don't think anyone was on my ass, and I kind of was able to take it my own speed. So where you may have had to maneuver around trees, I wasn't trying to like push it too hard. So yeah, I didn't really find it too terrible. But if I was trying to stay on someone's wheel and they were hauling, then I feel like I could have easily made some mistakes and clipped something. You find that
Yeah.
what would you?
It was 205 in 18.
In 18. So I mean, what was it 208 this year?
209.
209. Okay.
So my 152 must have been the year before that, in 2017.
Okay.
Is that before you joined Strava, or you just got tired of scrolling?
Actually, I'm not sure that's... I actually have 2 Strava accounts, by the way.
Jesus, Scott.
I don't know why.
Because
This
you're
is
almost 50 years old.
and I'm
that's
not good
why.
at
You don't know how to-
technology. That's why I get bonus points, Tristan.
But you do know directions very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, because he grew up before GPS. That's why.
You heard of Rand McNally?
So, what any memorable spots on the course? I love that. We talked about wood chip. Wood chip is always fun.
What is that Crybaby Hill there?
No, Anita.
Anita Hill?
I like that. I love that.
That's why my time was 2 minutes.
Did you stop at Anita?
That's where the shot was.
Okay. So I love so Anita wasn't there last year. They took it out, but usually it's a staple, and I loved that it was back this year. And it's usually where a bunch of people are posted up on the top, and
that's where the drum's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where Ed Rogers was.
Okay.
And hooked me up.
I
do want to call out that I was number one to take a shot at that hill.
How do you know that no one else took a shot before you?
Because they told me I was the first.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And he actually, you know how when you open a bottle, it has the
It was still sealed?
It was still sealed. So that's how I know.
Okay. So I'm surprised that wasn't an extra column in the spreadsheet.
Well, it was talked about.
Well, our spreadsheet.
Yeah, our spreadsheet.
The official spreadsheet, I think they should add a beers/shots consumed column.
I think so. I think it's important.
I really wish I would have read the guy's name that put it out, but he does a fantastic job. The amount of data that they put through to get to that
spreadsheet
is
of
incredible.
Like what wave you started, how many people you passed, how many people passed you.
We don't want to talk about it any further, but he does a phenomenal job. And if he added one more column for honorary, like maybe an honor system where you could go in and edit how many beers or shots you took during the race, I'd go for that.
Okay, one more thing about the race, and then we can talk about post-race. But we were worried about how our bikes would fare. Have you had a chance to look yours over, give it a quick check? I washed mine yesterday.
I have not washed mine. I mean, I went on a ride on Sunday, and I cleaned my drivetrain, and it worked perfect. Bike's great. It's just dirty. The bike's great.
Mine seems like it's good.
Yeah. So all the hoopla about it, it's fine.
All the new bits, they still work.
Do they still look new?
No, they definitely have the black. The black is wearing off, and it's got the silver shining through now. So that's kind of expected. A little sooner rather than later, but they still work.
But the whole reason we do go through all that, 30-ish miles, get to the finish, is to hang out
at the finish.
And maybe chug two-hearted at opportune times.
Yeah, that was maybe one of my best moments.
I was objectively proud at the end.
So for those that do not know, Trevor placed third in his age group, which got him a spot up on the podium.
We did not plan on going to the podium. We just happened to be walking by the podium at the right time.
It was within minutes. And once we realized they were calling the age groups, Trevor said, "I'm coming up." I said, "We need a beer." I said, "I tell you what, you go to the podium, I'll get you a beer." And
which at this point I didn't realize. So you grab a beer, and then as I walk on the podium,
you figure it's too late.
Well, I thought the beer was for after the podium, not during. And so I'm on the third step of the barrel, and Scott comes up with a full two-hearted and hands it to me as
on stage
as I'm up there, which is fantastic. Now I have a beer in my hand, but right after you did that, there were a group of women in front that were yelling "chug, chug, chug," and what do you do,
can't disappoint
guys?
the fans.
What do you do?
You can't disappoint the fans. That's all.
He chugged.
I chugged.
And he finished it proudly with a cup toss.
Cup slam.
A cup slam. I slammed it down.
I was giving you an out there, but
I picked up the litter. It's fine.
Yeah, you held out on that for a little bit. But that was a good time.
Until I couldn't hold on to him anymore.
Yeah, you dropped it.
Two or three or what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
handed you a cup and you dropped it.
Just real quick. I say it like jokingly, that was one of my proudest moments, but it was super cool to be on that podium, and it was kind of a goal of mine in the back of my head. I was like, if I have a good day, I would like to be on the podium. It worked out. everyone else that was in my age group, except for one other guy, missed the podium, including.
I feel like so number one, I feel like people don't know that it's a podium of 5 for age group. So pro tip is now
Be
you
ready
know.
for that. Now you know. Podium of 5.
And then the second thing is it happens. So you just have to get
You have to be
beer,
around the
and
area.
You just have to get your beer, get changed, get your beer, hang out in the celebration
And
zone.
there's still,
and just
there's
wait.
still racing going on. There's still riders on the course. The pros are getting ready to
Yep.
get started. Like, so there's a lot of things going on. And people, some people, if it's first timers or just don't understand, obviously podiums are decided way before every racer has come into the finish line. So they start doing these early. And so people are still out watching other riders come in and cheering other people. And so they're not always around.
And I mean, there are a ton of podiums because there are a ton of age.
Because they do it by
groups.
age,
There's so
especially
many
for the
age
men.
groups.
It's single year.
Yeah, single year. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound as impressive, but whatever. It was awesome.
Yeah, but when you look at how many people are in your age group,
there's so many riders that
I had 93.
yeah, I feel like as you get older,
Thanks a lot.
No, I'm just saying it's
There's
more
more.
competitive. It's
well,
just
that's why they, especially for the men, it's just a single year.
I was the true mid-pack, Trevor.
Good. I mean, that's why I brought you on the podcast.
No, I was 28th or 9th, I think, at final.
Well, there you go.
28th or 9th out of 93.
I
Have you-
don't. It was 15 out of 47.
Oh,
so
that's not bad.
top
Mid-pack
third
guy, too.
Yeah.
Top
Top
third.
thirds.
That's what
Yeah.
I
We're
sit
top
at the
thirders.
Top third, yeah. Not exactly my proudest result.
Not
but,
top 3, Trevor. Top third.
Yeah.
Um,
I had a lot of fun though at the finish line.
at the finish line or
In the woods.
in the woods? Yeah.
we
So-
went out for was it the snow cone? Is that the kids race?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, the snow cone was the last one.
small kid.
Yep.
Yeah, we were out there. We were given push-ups.
Hand-ups?
Oh,
No hand-ups. No hand-ups, but we were doing push-ups. We had to set some kids up right and get them going again.
was I there?
You were there, and there was, yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was on our way out to
remember
wood
that. I
chip.
remember that.
Is this the phone call?
Yes,
I'm in the middle of the woods somewhere. I'll come get you.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, things get a little silly, but
It was for the kids though. We cheered them on
Yes.
so aggressively. It was fantastic.
That's why I don't have any voice right now. And then we proceeded to Wood Chip Hill, which this was the first time that I did wood chip, and
So glad we did that.
oh my god, it was.
That was
Same.
phenomenal.
Let's
Have you ever,
back up
Scott?
a minute,
Have you ever?
though.
Okay.
Can we back up and give kudos and shout out to Bob and Don Cooper?
Oh yeah.
They
Oh,
had
yeah.
campsite. They had food. We had a shower. We
Well,
had
you
some
guys had a
adult
shower.
beverages.
You guys had a shower
Yeah.
because
You forgot your.
You got to earn
no,
your
no,
your
I didn't.
clothes.
Somebody
forget.
had their-
Somebody didn't tell me the plan. I'm looking not at Scott but at Trevor.
What would that have changed? How
It would
you-
not have changed anything, but I would have perhaps just gone to my car and gotten my clothes when I was waiting around
This
for
is-
you to talk to like 800 people.
This is solid content, by the way.
this is great
you,
stuff.
You yelling at me for forgetting your
So-
backpack of clothes.
I didn't. All right. In any case, yeah, Bob.
So
and
anyway,
Dawn's
thanks to the
campsite
Coopers,
was awesome.
all the epic riders, spin riders, everybody had a place to hang, get a
It's-
little chat post ride. So that was definitely that's always cool.
I think it's clutch to have like a place to go, like that's not, you don't have to like go out to your car or whatever. Like you have people at the finish, food ready, beers ready, a place to change, clothes ready, Tristan.
Additional clothes if you did not have your clothes.
Yeah.
Bob did offer, and I kindly
That does
declined
not
because
surprise me.
I did stink. If you flash back to a few episodes, my race clothes did not smell good, so I opted for Scott's dirty chain sweatshirt
You
because
made it more dirty.
it's already dirty.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah, it was. That's why we almost missed the podium because we were just hanging
That's
out there
true.
the
We
whole
were
time.
there. So then we get back into
Yeah.
the party atmosphere and we go to wood chip. Your first time, my first time.
Ah.
And I've been to a lot of Icemans. That is the first time I've gone down course to watch the pros come in.
I mean, last year with Iceman, it was awesome just slapping the barricades and whatnot. But out in the woods, in the rain, the moto comes through,
Yeah.
Alexi comes through, and then you're like, well, where's the rest of them? And then, what was it, 3-4 minutes later, he finally comes up the hill, and he's completely solo, just crushing it. And then the rest of the pro class comes through, and watching these guys that are just animals and gals that are just animals on a bike just hustle up that hill.
Yeah, it was cool. Like our vantage point because our vantage point because you could see them going through the single track behind us.
Correct.
And then they would like pop out of the single track and then they would go up wood chip, and it was like they were kind of, you would see them through the woods like a deer running through the forest or something, and then they would pop
they were
through
only like 15, 20 yards behind us on the hill, and then they had to go out a little bit further to come back up the hill, and it was a blast,
absolute blast. And like waiting for the pros, there were some other age groupers that were still going up, and everyone was cheering them on. And
and at this point, you know, these guys are 4 hours
Yeah.
plus into their ride. A lot of first timers and just people out there, you know, weekend warriors, just doing their first Iceman maybe or something like that. And these people are coming and they're just gassed. I mean, I couldn't imagine like just saying, "Oh, I'm going to go do a 30-mile bike ride because everybody says to do this and this is really cool." Like that's a tough ride for if you're not an avid mountain biker, and to take in these people that finished. They chose and they finished, whether they were walking their bike or not, but they were going to complete this race. And it was amazing to see those people come in too. It's fun.
Well, then
I
there
hope
was
that
one woman. There was that one woman that walked up the hill, and she's like, "I'm done. I'm calling it." And this woman off the sideline comes in, and she puts her hand on her back and says, "No, you can do this. You can do this." And everybody's like yelling for her to go. And she's like, "I don't think I can." And I don't know. She started talking real quiet. I couldn't hear what she was saying. But a second later, that leg went over the bike, and she presumably went off to finish. So
I remember one other too. Like that is so awesome. And this is what I was going to say. I hope that that all of them that were going up the hill at that time before the pros felt that was positive energy, you know. And we were trying to give them positive energy. Getting
for
up the
sure.
hill. But there was I assume that it was like a daughter and a dad, and the daughter like got up the hill and then
got off her bike,
and then cheered her dad to come up, and then once he got up, and then they like both rode off and did the finish together. So that was a super cool moment too. But and then to be there waiting for the pros, and we stuck around a long time and watched a lot of pros. It's like pros that you recognize, and then you see friends that are riding the pro wave, and man, it was what a blast. I loved it.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So
the woods is where to watch the finish.
Yeah, highly recommend doing that. So I don't know if you guys feel this way, but Iceman is the end of the season, and it's exciting, and you know there's a lot leading up to it, but also we've been riding all season, we've been racing all season, and it's like just one more race. Like, do we do this? Do we not? Like, it's also a lot of work for 30 miles, you know, especially as endurance guys. You're like, 30 miles, like what? But coming out of it on the other end, you're like, why would I not do that? I don't know if you ever feel that way too. I mean, Tristan, you came up like Friday night and then had to leave Saturday. I mean, you did a lot of work for the race. Do you have any regrets? Or
No.
are you glad you?
No, definitely glad I did it. After the race, I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to do the race next year, but I'm definitely going to be here for the party and the celebration and cheering on friends and all that fun stuff. But
Wait,
I'm doing the race next year.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say like what?
No, I've already come around.
But,
I will adjust.
What was the reasoning?
It's just that short term power is not my wheelhouse.
But again, like what? Like, is there any reason?
you settle it. You settle into the mindset that this is fun. Like, I came this far, I might as well ride my bike in this thing.
Right.
Without an expectation of I'm not going to train to compete in my age group necessarily for a podium, but I tell you what, I'm going to ride my bike and have fun. But I'm with you too. Even when I've been injured or haven't been able to ride, like, I always want to come up. I want to be there. If I'm able to ride, I'm going to ride. But whether I choose to commit to being successful in my age group or something like that, that's a whole nother story. But I will probably always be there to ride and enjoy the festivities.
Yep.
It is a tough logistically. It's tough.
Yeah,
Point to point races are not easy, especially when you come up without a crew or significant. Like, neither of us, any of us, had our wives with us. So we made it work. We made it work. We had multiple vehicles between the three of us, and we left vehicles in overnight places, and we did all the stuff necessary to make a successful point-to-point race. I mean, I know Iceman does a great job too. They have shuttles and they have all these other things to make that happen.
Yeah, it's definitely possible if you're up there on your own, or it is possible to do it, but it's easier if you have someone to kind of
coordinate that for you. Yeah.
Amazingly, when we went back to get your truck Sunday morning,
It was
like
three cars left, maybe 4 cars.
Yeah, so I thought for sure there'd be way more cars at the start line, but
Yeah, I was wondering that the next day. I'm like, are you able to park overnight at the airport out there?
Apparently you are.
Yeah.
Apparently, if they were
clipped
towing,
you, huh?
they didn't get to your truck yet.
Yeah, I mean, they gave us enough to do's and don'ts lists that, like, I figure,
Yeah, they
like,
never
you would have said,
said.
like, don't leave your vehicle parked at the airport overnight.
that
would have
would
been
I feel
pretty
like
big.
that would have been one of the 950 signs they had on that 10th of a mile strip where it said no parking.
Yeah.
Maybe every other one would have said
No, it was fine.
overnight.
There was zero issues, but yeah, there was no. I think 3 or 4 cars.
Or did you guys just get out there late on Sunday?
We checked out at 10 o'clock and drove whatever the half hour is to get there.
Yeah, it was still the morning. I mean,
Yeah,
but yeah, I always think that the post Iceman atmosphere is the best, and it is. But then you go to these other races, you're like, oh, that was fun. And they are. I mean, there's so many fun races in Michigan, outside of Michigan. But then you circle back to Iceman, and you're like, nope, this is special, this is unique, and there is no way that you want to miss it. So
Yeah.
It's
It's hard.
year-end party.
It's hard to see everyone, though. Like, you get, there's so many people there, and there's some people that's maybe all you see them is that once a year type in that area.
Yeah.
Like, there's, you don't. It's such a big place, and so many people that there was definitely some people that I missed seeing this year that I was kind of bummed because I chose to do different things, like go see that pro finish, which I wouldn't change. Like, that was great, but unfortunately, it led to not running in or seeing some of the people that were there this year that I didn't get to say hi to.
Yeah, it's tough, and you see people like across the way or something, and you don't get to say hi, or like you see them at the expo, and it's just busy. It is a very busy weekend for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't change it. It was fantastic. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we did it together.
Good times.
You guys ready for Wave 1 next year?
No.
I think I might slip a wave. But yeah, wave 5. I'm going to go for wave 5.
No, I don't know.
So that's interesting. Like, you could put down a similar time from multiple waves back, but then you pass more people than you're passed by, and you'll feel better about yourself. Is that how that works? Because, I mean, really, it's about the end of the clock. It doesn't really, at the end of the day, it's about the time you lay down.
That is true. I mean, according to the alternate spreadsheet that those guys put out, you have a better passing. What was it?
My ratio was bad.
Ratio of.
Yeah, I had a bad ratio this year, so I'm just gonna opt to slide back a few waves. I'm just assuming I will be relegated a wave is what I'm getting at.
I am a little interested in how they deal with the waves next year. I mean, this is a different thing.
Looking
this
at the
year.
line and the curves and the averages and like the spreads that they put together on that spreadsheet, I think the analysis that he provided was that this is perhaps one of the best or most accurate as a whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be outliers, but I think he said overall that it was a very well seeded wave.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any complaints. I'm just wondering. It just seems like every year there's always some kind of
Lots of
tweaking and stuff. So I'm curious at how. I know that there was some questions at the beginning, months and months ago, and the self-seating kind of thing. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that kind of all works out.
But and it's nice to be able to get seated properly. Like I've seen stories on like the Facebook page of people like there was incidents where people were like aggressively passing people though,
I saw
trying to
that
get
too.
in there,
Yeah.
and it caused like issues. I mean, it caused people to crash and other things, and so people were being super aggressive trying to get places. Like it's nice with that self-seating or trying to get to a spot where you're racing with similar speed contestants, participants, whatever you want to call,
Yeah.
and there's maybe less of that. But that's also like you talked about, Tristan's like earning your strike. Like sometimes it's you need to start in the back a little bit and put down some times, but there's so much room to pass on that course. I just don't understand how there's incidents where people are that aggressive to try to.
Yeah, I think
pass.
with a 2-hour race or so, people lose sight of that there's going to be an opportunity right around the corner, and if you're strategic about it, you can get your heart rate down in that moment, or take your sip of water, or get your fuel if you need in that moment, and then make your move. You just have to understand that it's just because you're slowing down for a minute doesn't mean your entire race is blown up or ruined.
I had an instance where I was in kind of traffic on single track. A couple guys in front of me were trying to pass this guy in drop bars. They did, and then I was behind the guy in drop bars. It wasn't you, Tristan.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have been behind me.
And then I think the guy in drop bars was, I mean, I thought he was riding plenty fast. But I think he was saying, he was trying to yell. You can't really hear really well, but I think he was saying like, I'm this is as fast as I can go. Like you can pass when you can. And we couldn't pass. It just wasn't possible. But, what I appreciated was the guy behind me was like, we are like literally 300 yards from this clearing out and being on 2 track, and we can just like no reason to. And I think everyone was kind of like getting all worked up and like, we need to pass. And this guy was just like, listen, we're and even the guy in drop bars was like, I'll try to let you pass when I get a chance. And then the guy behind me was like, don't worry about it. Like 200 yards will be clear and then it'll be fine. And that's what I feel like people need to just kind of chill out a little bit. And
I guess that's racing too, and I know there's probably people that don't know the course or don't know when that kind of stuff's happening or going to open up soon or whatever too, that they get aggressive. But
sure, it's tough. There was a Kerry Warner, pro, outside of Michigan. He was second last year. Rode drop bars. Rode drop bar like with a little suspension fork. But this year he just rode a straight drop bar gravel bike, basically. I think with 50mm tires. I don't know where. I think he was 6th or 7th or maybe 9th or something like that. But he had a cool video. He always like rides with a 360 camera, and there was some parts where like it showed the pro race going into the single track, and oh my god, it was so aggressive. Like people pushing elbows and like bumping into each other trying to get those spots, and it's all like bottlenecking at that point. So yeah, it happens everywhere.
That's livelihood. So like,
but that's also pro wave too. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a
like
different
they're
expectation.
gonna stay upright,
Yeah.
and they're doing it for their livelihood. Whereas us weekend warriors, we're just trying to move up a wave. Maybe
Maybe we move down a wave.
Yeah, maybe or move down a wave. Yeah, maybe get on that podium. But yeah,
Ultimately, even though we didn't hit our target goals times, possibly, I still am not feeling sheepish about where we started. I think we were. We weren't last. I mean, that crazy spreadsheet. I passed people that were wave 2
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I mean, I don't feel bad about being in wave 4. I thought it was appropriate.
I fear that the guy that we passed in wave 2 was the guy that lost his saddle.
Well, it wasn't on the spreadsheet that way.
It wasn't listed as a DNF, but
Hey, listen,
I'm concerned about
data
that.
Data is data. So
Hey, we pass people, all right?
all right, guys.
I did have one guy. It was good to see. There's one guy out of wave 5 that came just flying past me and commented on how nice of a bike I had. It ended up being a guy I know. So that was kind of cool to see him. He was crushing it. But that was the only wave 5 person that passed me that I was happy about.
that you're happy about. Well, until there's nothing else this year, right? So we're just getting out when we can and
Dust off the fat bikes.
dust off the fat bikes, yeah. But we all have fat bikes, so
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Winter is coming.
yeah.
Snow, beer, woods.
Thanks, guys. Until next year.
Thanks, Trevor.
The Dirty Chain Podcast is a Michigan Midpack Media production in partnership with KOM Cycling, the source for your bike accessories and necessities. Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Dirty Chain Podcast. Email dirtychainpodcast@gmail.com. If you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you use to listen. Audio editing and original music by myself, Trevor Gibney. And a huge thank you to everyone that put on Iceman. And thank you all for listening to the Dirty Chain Podcast. And as always, keep your chain clean, but get your chain dirty. We will see you in the Midpack.